White House meeting fails to resolve U.S. crypto legislation stalemate. A recent meeting at the White House was held to try and break the stalemate between the banking industry and crypto firms. The issue is whether or not companies should be allowed to offer rewards on dollar-backed stablecoins. Right now, there are some crypto platforms that allow users to hold and use stablecoins and earn what's called yields, which the banks argue can feel similar to earning interest in a savings account. Lawmakers are debating whether those rewards should continue to be allowed under new legislation, which is called the Clarity Act, or you might have heard it referred to as the Market Structure Bill. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Crypto Explained. I'm your crypto confidence coach, Allie, and I'm excited to get into another episode with you today. So if you've been following anything even loosely related to crypto, money, or tech, you've probably noticed the same thing we have. Stablecoins seem to be everywhere. They're showing up in our daily news feeds, from headlines about payments to op-eds about policy. There's a lot of information coming all at once, and if you're newer to crypto, it might feel confusing and overwhelming. That's exactly why today's episode exists. We're not going to do a technical deep dive, but instead a quick explainer of the news that actually matters. There's a lot of hype, so let's cut through all that noise and break it down together. As always, I'm not going to try to sway your opinions. I'm just going to provide the facts in plain English. And this is a special episode because we're actually going to look at some of the recent news and break down each article and what they really mean for you. So let's dive in. Our first headline comes from Reuters, and it's an article titled, "The White House Meeting Fails to Resolve U.S. Crypto Legislation Stalemate." So this article covers a months-long disagreement between major U.S. banks and crypto companies and sets the stage for many of the headlines we're going to talk about today. For some quick context, I'm recording this episode on March 4th, 2026. As of today, the federal government has not yet reached an agreement on this debate, but that could soon change, so stay tuned. So back to this article, which explains that a recent meeting at the White House was held to try and break the stalemate between the banking industry and crypto firms. To be clear, Congress writes the laws, not banks or crypto firms. But if a consensus is reached by banks and crypto firms on tough issues, it makes Congress's job a heck of a lot easier. So what's the main issue here? The issue is whether or not companies should be allowed to offer rewards on dollar-backed stablecoins. The specifics of this issue are a bit more complex, but that's pretty much the gist. So right now, there are some crypto platforms that allow users to hold and use stablecoins and earn what's called yields, which the banks argue can feel similar to earning interest in a savings account. Lawmakers are debating whether those rewards should continue to be allowed under new legislation, which is called the Clarity Act, or you might have heard it referred to as the Market Structure Bill. Many in the banking industry are against this. They argue that if crypto platforms can offer rewards on stablecoins, then some consumers might want to move their deposits out of traditional banks and into crypto apps instead. Banks rely on deposits as their main source of funding for loans, so they're warning that large outflows could affect lending and financial stability. In other words, banks are using your money to fund loans, and they don't want to lose that funding source. In banking lingo, it's called fractionalized reserves banking. But crypto companies disagree. They argue that offering rewards is not the same as fractionalized reserve banking. They're arguing that banks are trying to encourage their customers not to use their deposits so that the banks can lend them out instead. Crypto firms say rewards on stablecoins is a competitive feature and that consumers should have choice, and that restricting rewards would limit innovation. They also say that supporting stablecoin growth helps keep the US dollar central as financial activity moves onto blockchain systems. The article makes it clear that this disagreement is now holding up the broader Clarity Act crypto bill in Washington. The Senate Banking Committee has already postponed a vote on this bill, and although the White House meeting was described as constructive, no compromise has yet been reached, although talks are continuing. So here's what this one means if you're new to crypto. Stablecoins are no longer a niche tool only used by those inside the crypto market. They're now part of serious political and financial negotiations at the highest level of government. This article also shows why rewards on stablecoins matter so much. For users, earning rewards feels like an added benefit. But for banks, it represents a potential shift in where Americans may store their money. Of course, nothing stops banks from issuing their own stablecoins and competing in this way too. And that's why this headline matters. It's about the rules of competition between digital and traditional finance. Now let's get into our next headline, which comes from CoinDesk and is titled Polygon Labs Pushes Deeper into Stablecoin Payments with a $250 million deal. So this article is about crypto companies trying to look less like trading platforms and more like everyday finance apps. Polygon Labs is a company that builds behind-the-scenes technology that helps some blockchains run faster, cheaper, and work better for things like payments and apps. And Polygon Lab announced that it's buying two companies for over $250 million. One that helps people move money in and out of crypto, which is known in the crypto space as on-ramping and off-ramping, and the other that helps make crypto wallets easier to use. For a quick jargon alert, on-ramping simply means moving regular money, like US dollars from your bank account, into crypto. And off-ramping is the opposite. It means moving crypto back into regular money. That's a big signal. Polygon is spending this kind of money to make stablecoins work better for payments. The article explains that many crypto companies are starting to offer more traditional financial services, which is part of a much bigger shift happening across all of crypto. So now, companies are trying to build real financial services on top of them, especially using stablecoins. Polygon Labs calls its plan the Open Money Stack. That name may sound kind of jargony, but the idea is pretty simple. They want stablecoin payments to move smoothly between regular money systems and crypto systems. Sending money should feel easy, even if it's happening on the blockchain. In fact, especially if it's happening on the blockchain, I would say. But by buying these two companies, Polygon is trying to remove any complexity of interacting with stablecoins. They want people to stop worrying about things like gas fees or switching networks or bridging funds, and instead make sending money as simple as sending an email. The article also points out that this system is being built to work across many different blockchain networks, not just one. The idea is that payments are too big to live on one single network. Stablecoins will move across many, wherever makes the most sense. So here's what this one means if you're new to crypto. This headline shows us that stablecoins are benefiting more than just traders. Companies are building them for regular people and businesses who want to move their money easily. In the not-so-distant future, you might get paid, send money, or do other things with stablecoins without needing to understand anything about blockchain. And in this case, it's probably going to feel much more similar to using apps you already know and love, like PayPal and Venmo. This tells us where the industry thinks the real value is. It's in making payments simple, reliable, and boring in the best ways. While other headlines about stablecoins right now are focusing on laws and regulation, this one shows us that crypto companies are building in the background while those debates are ongoing. Now let's get into our next headline, which comes from the Financial Times and is titled Stablecoins Could Shake Up Global Payments, but Not with Technology. So this article is pushing back on a popular idea in crypto. A lot of people think that stablecoins will fix international payments because the technology is better. Faster transfers, fewer middlemen, lower fees. But the Financial Times article is arguing that the story is a lot more complicated. It explains that sending money across borders is expensive today, often costing more than 6% of the total amount sent. That really affects families that are sending remittances or even businesses paying their suppliers. Stablecoin supporters say blockchains can lower those costs, but the article points out that some companies have also already found ways to lower fees. For example, companies like Wise or Revolut are already moving money internationally at very low cost. Wise charges around 0.5% on average, and they say they would be happy to use stablecoins if it made their transfers even cheaper. So why don't they? The article says that the biggest cost in payments are not the technology. It's things like anti-money laundering rules, compliance checks, and currency conversions. Stablecoins still have to deal with many of these same rules. And in some cases, a new crypto user might also have to pay exchange fees, foreign exchange spreads, or fees for turning stablecoins back into regular money. So the article's main point is this: stablecoins are not automatically cheaper just because they use blockchain. But that doesn't mean that stablecoins don't still have a really important role to play. The Financial Times argues that the real value of stablecoins might be in competition. For a long time, international payments were controlled by a small number of big banks and money transfer companies. With little competition, they could charge high, unclear fees. But when new players enter the market, the prices come down. That's already happened with other fintech apps, and stablecoins can push the competition even further. So here's what this means if you're new to crypto. This story is a reminder that crypto is about math, not magic. Stablecoins will not instantly make every international payment cheaper. But they do change the game. More choices force companies to lower fees and improve service. So even if you've never sent a stablecoin yourself, their existence can still benefit you just by making global payments faster, cheaper, clearer, and more competitive over time. Think about it this way. Stablecoins give people more options. Now moving on to headline number 4, which comes from Fortune and focuses on something that may sound small, but is actually a pretty big deal. YouTube is now letting US content creators receive their payouts in PayPal's stablecoin, which is called PYUSD. So this option is already live, and it was actually confirmed by Mai Zabanya, who leads crypto at PayPal and was a previous guest on the podcast. So if you missed that episode, I'll be sure to link to it in the show notes just in case you want to give it a listen. But what matters most here is not just why stablecoins are being used, it's how they're being used. And it's important to note that YouTube itself doesn't even have to touch crypto. Creators do not need to understand blockchains or wallets to get paid. PayPal handles everything in the background. And as Mai explained to us, the goal is to remove the friction so that large platforms can use stablecoins without becoming crypto companies themselves. From YouTube's perspective, this is another payout option. And from a creator's perspective, it looks just like getting paid through PayPal, not using crypto. That's the strategy. PayPal's been slowly integrating its stablecoin across its ecosystem. Users can already hold PYUSD in their PayPal and Venmo apps, use it to pay merchants, and soon businesses will be able to use it to pay vendors as well. YouTube adding PYUSD payouts is another step in that direction, and it reflects that something bigger is happening across the industry. Big tech companies are not rushing to launch their own coins or build crypto products from scratch. Instead, they're partnering with trusted companies like PayPal that can handle the crypto side quietly and safely. So here's what this one means if you're new to crypto. This is what mainstream adoption actually looks like. Stablecoins don't always show up as a flashy new feature. They show up as an extra option inside tools that people already know and trust. You might even be using them without ever thinking about crypto at all. This article shows us that stablecoins are moving deeper and deeper into financial infrastructure, not by replacing systems, but by fitting into them. And when a platform as large as YouTube makes this option available, it signals that stablecoins are no longer experimental. They're becoming a part of normal money movement. Our last headline for today comes from The Block, and it's titled, Visa launches stablecoin advisory practice to help banks and businesses build strategies. So this is one of the clearest signals yet that stablecoins are moving into the mainstream. Visa is one of the largest payment companies in the world, and it's not just experimenting with crypto anymore. It's actively helping banks and businesses figure out how to use stablecoins in real products. The article explains that Visa has launched a new advisory group focused only on stablecoins. This team helps banks, fintech companies, and large businesses understand where stablecoins make sense, how to use them, and how to roll them out safely. This is not about trading or speculation. It's about payments. Visa says it's seeing growing demand from clients who want to use stablecoins for things like cross-border payments and business-to-business transfers. These are areas where money often moves slowly and costs more than it should. Visa is already doing this at scale. The article notes that Visa is supporting billions of dollars in stablecoin settlement volume each year and is working with more than 130 stablecoin-linked credit card programs all around the world. So in other words, stablecoins are already flowing through Visa's network. What's changed is confidence. New US regulations around stablecoins have given big financial companies more certainty about the rules. That makes banks and businesses more willing to move forward instead of staying on the sidelines. So here's what this one means if you're new to crypto. When a company like Visa steps in, it's a signal that stablecoins aren't niche. They're part of familiar everyday financial structure. You might not see the word stablecoin on your screen. You might just notice that your payments are moving faster, costing less, and working across borders more easily. This story shows that stablecoins are not replacing the financial system. They're being built into it. And when Visa starts teaching others how to use them, it's a strong sign that stablecoins are here to stay. So before we wrap up, let's quickly recap what we covered. We talked about how crypto companies are advocating to allow consumers to earn rewards on stablecoins and why that has become a drawn-out debate in Washington. We covered how Polygon Labs is investing hundreds of millions of dollars to make stablecoin payments feel more like everyday banking. We talked about why stablecoins are not automatically cheaper for global payments and how competition, not just technology, is what actually is going to bring costs down. We looked at how platforms like YouTube and PayPal are already using stablecoins behind the scenes without users needing to touch crypto directly. And we talked about how when big financial institutions like Visa get involved, it sends a signal that stablecoins are becoming increasingly mainstream and a familiar part of our everyday financial structure. So if you want a deeper explanation of what stablecoins are and why they matter, make sure to go back to listen to our previous episode that breaks that all down step by step. I'll link to it in the show notes for you. As always, thank you so much for joining for Crypto Explained, and we look forward to seeing you next week.